Hiya, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do another headlight restoration video today, which we've done in the past, and that was on the other C1, and it was a while ago. And when I did that video, what I didn't do is I didn't coat the headlights with anything, and as you would imagine, they have gone a bit dull again. Not as bad as what they were before I started, you know, they are still not too bad, but they're not as shiny. But I'll try a different method on this. I'm going to try a similar method to what I did with the backlights on the Beamer, where I sand it down to get through the layers of shit. As you can see, I don't know if that's showing up, but that's quite yellowy and a bit shit. And then use some lacquer or some varnish to coat it with. This is the stuff that I use when doing the sill on the other C1, and it has a pretty good finish. Not the same stuff as I used when I was doing that. So let's see, as you can see, it's brilliant stuff. Nice and carefully repaired to an as new condition. I'll do similar with the headlights. Right, so what do we need to successfully do this apart from car needs a good detail? Drop a comment if you'd like to see that as a video. I don't think you would, but anyway, I need some masking tape, brand new, good conditions, some 1200s, some 600s, some paint, and your mum's best pan, which has got water mixed with a bit of washing up liquid in it. So just take the 600s. 600s could be a little bit on the rough side. I don't know. I've never done this bit before on headlights, but I guess I don't know. I don't think we need to get the finish anywhere near as good as when polishing it before we put the paint on, but we'll soon find out. If I fuck this up, you're going to see me fuck this up. So I'll get some 600s, and I'm going to start with this here because this is where it's most visible on camera because of light and what have you. And 600 is burning through that immediately. Yes. And carry on across the whole unit until the whole headlight is completely knackered and doesn't let any light through, and then we've got to buy some more. Now what I was going to do is I was going to sort of speed this up and put some music over it, but the last time I did that was on the when I was doing the sill on the other C1, and the video got demonetized because it had some really shit music playing on it, and then the video got demonetized and claimed by the author of said shit music. So now if you watch that video, there's loads of bits in it which are just silent, and it's a bit shit because of it, but it is what it is. I don't really want that happening again, so I'm gonna try and avoid that. Oh yeah, the worst thing about it was, when I put that music on and it got demonetized because of it, was actually the music was supposed to be from a copyright free source, but anyway, less of that. That's not really relevant. I mean, it's all of 50p that I probably will lose through that video, which, as anyone knows, I don't do this for the money. If I did this for the money, I'd be on a loser because, well, it's not really worth it, is it? So that is why, instead of having music on this bit, we've got me talking about why there's no music on this bit. Not to say I'm not going to put any tunes anywhere else, and then we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But this 600s is actually, I've done this in real time. I'm not even fast forward it or anything, and I've pretty much got down to the clean layer, it seems. I haven't wiped it off yet, but we'll see, won't we? Right, so that's giving it a going over with the 600s. And what I forgot to say is you need something to wipe the headlight off with. Now, luckily, I'm quite fat, so I've got an assortment of like McDonald's and Burger King and shit napkins in the car. So we can give it, yes, look at that. Look at the quality of the craftsmanship involved with what you are witnessing. Okay, my light's falling off. I'll leave that wipe down and see how it looks. And as you can see, it's probably not what you'd call an improvement so far. So now let's hit it with some 1200s. As shown very accurately, depicting nicely. It's not really going to make it look any different, this, I don't think. Might do, it might take some of the scratches out to make it a little bit less dull, but that's going to be a job for the lacquer, I think. Now I'm going to give this a going over. You don't need to see me do this again, and I'm going to do the same with the other side. And actually, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and hit it with the 1200s first, to see if I even need to do the 600s first. It's working, but it's a bit slow. Fuck it, let's get the 60s on it. Better. Oh yeah, I forgot to say something quite important actually. If you're the kind of person who sort of cares about your paintwork and you're doing this to your pride and joy or whatever, put a bit of masking tape around the edges before you start doing this, because you are likely to catch it with the sandpaper as you're doing it. What I will mention is, as well, so far this method does seem pretty good, because it's a lot faster than the kits that I've used in the past, and the polishing. Because, well, you know, I'll reserve judgment for the end on that. But so far, it seems to be this seems to be pretty quick. And the same as the other side. Give it a do with some 12s. And that is Headlight number 2. Almost ready to take some lacquer. This, like I said, does seem to be a bit faster than the other process, because even though I've been filming this for this stupid YouTube channel, it has only taken me actual half an hour to get up to this point, and that's with, like I said, filming it, which makes everything take 10 times as long. So this does seem like it could be quite a quick alternative, and a cheap alternative. I mean, cheap enough, them fucking Headlight kits are only a tenner anyway, but lacquer for about £3. So it's so far seems to be going all right, but like I said, if it looks shit when it's done, don't matter how quick or cheap it is, does it? But we'll have to we'll see that in a bit. So now we need to start some preparation for adding the paint or the lacquer. And the first thing I need to do is I need to give it a bit of a clean. So I've got some clean water in my pan. I've got some sponge to just give it a wipe down as such. Now, if you've got, one of the best things to dry this with would be a hair line, and mine's retreating. It's got like a McDonald's, so I haven't got a hair line to blow it off with, so I'll just have to dry it with, hold on, some of my best underpants. And due to being like a size fat, they should be big enough and adequate amounts of material to dry before we can add this lacquer. There are still some lines in there which I think are too deep to get out. I think they're inside, they're like, not scratches, like some sort of, I don't know, heat stress marks or something inside the plastic. Now, as I said earlier, it would be much easier to dry this if I had an airline or something to get into the gaps, but I haven't, so I'll just have to let it dry naturally. And now it's something like dry, I'm going to use my masking tape to cover up them scratch marks that I've put in the paint with nice and lovingly, and go right around the light. And really, I should use some, you know, newspaper, and fuck's sake, and go all the way around and make a bit of a shield around it. But I can't be bothered, so I'm just going to put masking tape around it. And I can also use this to demonstrate that, other than having children, masking tape that has been damaged or damp or, you know, anything like that, trying to peel it off, even with two hands, and I'm using one hand, but even with two hands, is one of the most frustrating things available on this planet. Yes. Yes. And after copious quantities of shaking, I think we're ready to try and apply some of this onto here. It's now or never. Dust coat. Starting just a nice thin. Get that to focus so you can see how bad it truly is. Now, if you're doing this, you might want to put a bit more protection against your paintwork, you know, a bit more around it. But I've not. Right, so I'm going to let that go a little bit tacky before doing it again. Another coat. I'm having to go a bit closer than what I'd like to because it seems to be blowing away rather than sticking to Headlight, which is useful. And so far, actually doesn't look too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on applying the lacquer until it looks worse. Because, as with anything like this, the reason why I usually fuck it up is because I think it looks alright, that. And I think, oh, there's a bit I've missed. Yeah, there's a bit I've missed. And I keep on adding to it. And then now, I've added to it. It's a prime example, I've added to it and now put a dry line in it where I didn't have one before. And then I'll add more and more and more until it starts running. So look out for that one. And this will end up being a video on demonstrating what not to do if you decide to do this. Right, I'm gonna leave it. And obviously the headlight that looked the best, yes. I don't know why, like, you can't really see it from here, but when you look close you can see that it's sort of got some snake skin or dinosaur skin effect. Completely deliberate, not a fuck up at all, that. The other one's not done it yet though, so we can wait for it to do that. And I'll just give it another quick dusting, and that'll have to do now because I know I've put enough paint on it, or enough lacquer on it, because I've run out of lacquer. So that's when to stop. When you stop adding paint when you run out of paint. And this is brilliant, this. Just lacquered these, waiting for the paint to dry in. Fucking yes. And now I think I'm pretty much done. It's a definite improvement on what it was. If you look close, you can still see some scratches which are inside. You're not going to get rid of them with any sort of polishing, I don't think. And I'm just going to have to hope they don't start pissing down. So it's been dry all day. It's been nice and warm and dry, or fairly warm and dry, and that's why I decided to do this. And that is obviously why now it is decided to put a big massive black cloud above us. So I'm just going to hope for the best, and then I'll come back and fix it when the rain washes it off. And that should be enough time for it to dry. As you can see from a distance, it does look. I didn't show it from a distance before, did I? From a distance, it does look better. And it does look better close up actually, apart from that special effects on there. Not great, but it's better than it being yellow. Let's see how it looks with the lights on. Yeah, awesome. And I think that's probably about as good as I'm going to get it, to be honest with you. I could, if I could be bothered, I could try sanding that down and doing it again, but I've run out of lacquer now and I've run out of motivation. So I'm gonna leave it at that. It does. I know that's a bit of a shame actually, but the rest of it has come out pretty good. I don't think the finish, I don't think it's quite as good, and I bet it is about the same actually as doing it, polishing it wise. You know, the shininess of it, or the clearness of it. It's probably about the same in the bits where it's not shit, but it should last longer in theory. This bit, like I said, this bit all looks pretty good. It looks much better all over, apart from that. And even that, in all honesty, unless you're looking for it, does. I mean, you can see it, but it's a bit of like crazy, like whatever you'd call it, effect on it. And it doesn't look as bad as when it was yellow and dull. So I do think it is an improvement. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this one. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe and all that. And see you next time. Well, I said I was just going to leave it, and it's about 2 weeks later or something now. So it's definitely fully dry. I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to try and knock them marks off with this dirty wet and dry paper that's just got loads of stones and shit stuck to it. Try and smooth it off a bit, and I'm just going to give it another coat if possible, which is a decision that I'm definitely regretting, because as I'm sanding it down, it's sanding the lacquer down, right, but the marks aren't even moving. They're like fucking made out of steel or some shit. So I thought that they'd just knock them off dead easy like runs, but they're not doing. So I just have to persevere and hope that I get rid of something. Yes. Now, I thought that those were raised, the lines, but it appears that I have completely fucked up, because they're not. They're cracks, which is what they look like really. I mean, it should be obvious, but they look like they was raised before, but they're not. They're fucking cracks, aren't they? So unless I go right through this lacquer completely until it's gone, I'm never going to get rid of them. I've thinned it out a bit then, and I've gone over them quite hard. I'm going to have to give it another coat now anyway, because I've ruined it. So I'm also going to do that and hope for the best. And of course, give it a rinse off with some clean, nice water. And now we look at what we've ruined. Yeah. Another thing that's great is, if you're going to do something like this, the best place to do it is obviously underneath a sycamore tree, because then you can come out after you've done it and have a load of helicopters stuck to it. But small details. And as I mentioned earlier on in the video, I was running out of lacquer, so I've got some more. Let's see what happens. As you can see, I've masked it off really carefully too. It looks no better. That was a complete and utter waste of time. Perfect. And actually, it is less pronounced. Quite a lot less pronounced. So I'll just take off the use the overspray removal tool to remove the overspray from the paintwork. This is how all good body shops work. It's how they all do it. So I've run out of paint again. I only had a little bit in that tin, so I can't put any more on. So I think that actually is the end of the video. And yeah, it has it. No, you know what? It looked like it was going really badly. It still looks a bit shit, but it doesn't look anywhere near as shit. So it has improved it. So not all is lost. So that's it. See you next time.